Before you write a single word of your book, I want you to put the pen down. I know that sounds strange, backwards, coming from a book coach, but most times new writers don't struggle to write their book because they can't write. They struggle because they sat down to write before they knew what the book was actually about and who it was meant for. So today I'm giving you one simple hack that fixes that in about 10 minutes. So stay with me until the end of this video. Before you write a single page, please try this simple hack. I'm Ngozi. I coach midlife women to write and publish their first book, be it children's books, memoirs, or the story of their life. First, I want to say something to anyone watching this right now and he's thinking, I'm not a writer. Writing is a beautiful art and no one was born good at it. You develop the skill the same way you develop any other skill, by doing it again and again and getting a little better each time you do. So let's go of the idea that you need to already be a writer to start writing your story. You just need to start writing and then you become a writer. The number one thing I see that stalls a new writer's book isn't fear, it isn't time, and it is certainly not talent. It is, she sits down to write with a whole life's worth of memory in her head with no clear line through it. No clear picture of who is on the other side of the page reading her story. So, she writes her page, stops, doesn't know what comes next, and closes her laptop, her notepad, a notebook for 3 weeks, months, and even years. The hack we're going to talk about in this episode fixes both of those before they even happen. So let's jump right in. Why just start writing doesn't work? I know many people will tell you, just start writing, get the words down, don't overthink it. Why that may work in some instances, it does not prevent you from getting stuck. That advice works for a journal entry. It does not work for a book because a book needs a shape and you cannot find the shape of 30, 40, 50 years of your life by staring at a blank page and just pouring things out, hoping that everything will appear line by line. Here is what actually happens when you just pour out everything with no direction. You write about your childhood, say about when you were 6 or 7 years old. Then you remember something from your 20s and jump there. Then you circle back again to when you were about 6 or 8 years old. By page 10, you have no idea what the book is about or who you are even writing this for. And neither would a reader understand what you're talking about. Not because you are a bad writer, but because you skip the one thing, the one step that comes before writing. And that is clarity. You need to be clear on who this is for and why. Assuming I am writing about a miscarriage I suffered and hoping that my story will uplift someone in a similar situation. Then suddenly I move to how my family fled a war in a war-torn country when I was 6. That may not be relevant unless I can justify why I included that in that section or in my book at all. So, you need to understand what you're talking about and really hone into the very aspect of your life that helps you build on that story. Number 2, the most challenging part for new writers is knowing who you are talking to. Yes, this trips up almost every new writer, and it has nothing to do with grammar or talent. When you are clear on who you are writing for, that shapes the direction of the whole book. This matters more than people realize because The same experience can become 3 completely different books depending on who you picture while you are writing it. Let's revisit the example I used earlier on. Say a woman has lived through the loss of a pregnancy more than once, and eventually she welcomed a baby who survived. That is one life experience. But look at how many different books could come out of that, depending on the reader she has in mind. She could write it for other women currently in the middle of loss, somewhere between 25 or 45-year-olds, who need someone who actually understands what they are carrying right now and what steps might help them to move forward. She could write it for her own child one day as a record of how badly she wanted to have that baby and waited for so long for that. She could write it for medical professionals as a window into what patients actually need from medical professionals. Same story, 3 different perspectives. 3 completely different books. Different chapters get emphasized. Different tone, different ending. The story didn't change, but the direction of the book absolutely did. And it all comes down to one decision. Who is this book for? So, what is the one hack that will save you time and lead your story from start to finish? Here it is. Before you write a single chapter, answer this one sentence. This is a book about the time I dash and what it taught me about dash for dash who need dash. If you can fill in these blank spaces, you are very clear on what you are writing about. So let's take it piece by piece. First blank forces you to pick one central story, not your whole life, one specific stretch of it, one turning point in your life, one season, one slice of your life. Everything else overwhelms and keeps you stuck. So this is not the time to tell us everything about your life, but pick one aspect of your life that you want in a book and what lesson you want someone to learn from it. The second blank forces you to name the takeaway. That is the lesson, not vaguely how life gets better. That is too vague. Specifically, what did that season actually teach you that a reader could carry with them, that could uplift them in their moments of sorrow, that could empower them, inspire them, motivate them to keep moving, to keep looking forward, that one day they'll get through the way you did. How did you pull yourself back up again? The third and fourth blanks are the part most women skip, most new writers skip, and they are the most important part for direction. Who specifically are you writing for? Not everyone, not every woman. Be specific. Age range, a situation, a feeling that your future readers currently sitting in, and what do they need from you specifically in this moment in your book. Here is a full example. This is a book about the time I lost 2 pregnancies before my son was born. What it taught me about grief that doesn't cancel out hope. For women between 25 and 45, currently in the middle of loss, who needs someone who actually understands what this feels like and isn't rushing them past it. That is super clear. You know who you're writing for and what you're writing about. Notice everything that sentence just gave. It gave you opening chapter. It gave you a theme. It gave you your reader sitting right there in front of you as you write every single page. Every chapter decision from here forward gets easier because you can ask, does this serve her? Does this belong in the book she needs? Does this fulfill what I promise my reader? You just did in one sentence what usually takes people 6 failed drafts. and a lot of writing into the void to figure it out. I want you to actually do this. Not just nod along. Grab whatever is near you. Your notes app, back of an envelope. It doesn't matter what it is. It's a simple tool that you can write. Write this. This is a book about the time Don't overthink the first draft of this sentence. Write it the messiest, most obvious version. You will refine it later, but you cannot refine a blank page. Then finish it. And what it taught me about now, the part most people skip for who need this. Get really specific here. Not people going through hard times. That is too vague. Who exactly? What age? What situation? What hard time? What are they actually needing from a book like yours right now? If you get stuck on any of these blanks, that is useful information, not a failure. What it tells you is that you need to do some more work on it. It means you haven't fully named something yet. Even though you've lived it and felt it, you need to be clear on who you're speaking with and what you hope that they get from your book. Once you have that sentence, even in rough form, you have something most people never get before they start writing. A compass and a reader. Every chapter you write from here onward, you can hold up against that sentence and ask, does this belong here? Does this serve her? That is your future reader. Does this serve her? And once you can answer those simple questions, you are good to go. That is the hack. One sentence before the pen ever touches the page. This is a book about the time and what it taught me about for who need dash. Do that first. The writing gets so much easier once you know what you're actually writing toward and who is waiting on the other side. And remember, you don't need to already be a good writer to start this. Nobody was. You build the skill by doing it one clear, honest sentence at a time. If you want the next step after this, the full framework I use to take one sentence all the way to a finished published book, I have a tool that can help get you through. Go over to the description below and grab your copy.